Top 10 biggest screw-up moments in Oscars history. For nearly a century, the Academy Awards have represented the pinnacle of Hollywood glamour and prestige. From Bob Hope to Billy Crystal, from Audrey Hepburn to Meryl Streep, the ceremony has given us countless moments of cinematic celebration. But let's be honest, the mishaps, mistakes, and monumental disasters are what we really remember. Before social media could instantly immortalize celebrity gaffes, these Oscar blunders became legendary through newspaper headlines, water cooler conversations, and late-night talk show monologues. While today's viral moments come and go in a 24-hour cycle, the classic Oscar disasters of Hollywood's golden age and beyond have stood the test of time. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the most unforgettable moments when Hollywood's most prestigious ceremony went gloriously, catastrophically off script. Some were shocking, some were scandalous, and others were just plain embarrassing. But all of them revealed the beautifully human side of an industry that tries desperately to maintain its perfect facade. From envelope mix-ups to streakers, from political protests to name butchering, these aren't just awkward moments. They're the instances when the carefully constructed Hollywood machine briefly broke down, giving us glimpses of raw, unscripted reality on what's supposed to be the most controlled night in entertainment. So polish your statuette and straighten your bow tie as we count down the top 10 most jaw-dropping disasters in Academy Awards history. And we're starting with the granddaddy of all Oscar mistakes.
I'm afraid they read the wrong thing.
This is not a joke. Moonlight has won Best Picture. Moonlight, Best Picture.
1. La La Land wins, then doesn't. 2017. The 89th Academy Awards was proceeding according to plan. Designer gowns, tearful speeches, political statements, until the final moments of the broadcast delivered the most shocking twist in Oscar history. Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway, two legends of Hollywood's golden era, reunited on stage to present Best Picture, appeared confused when they opened the envelope. After a moment's hesitation, Dunaway announced La La Land as the winner. The musical's producers, cast, and crew jubilantly took the stage. Producer Jordan Horowitz was midway through his acceptance speech when Oscar producers rushed on stage. "There's a mistake," Horowitz announced, holding up the correct card. "Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture." As Beatty explained, "I opened the envelope and it said, Emma Stone, La La Land." He had been handed the duplicate Best Actress envelope instead of Best Picture. By the time the mistake was corrected, the La La Land team had already given 3 acceptance speeches. Jimmy Kimmel, hosting his first Oscars, tried lightening the mood. "Personally, I blame Steve Harvey for this," referencing Harvey's infamous Miss Universe announcement error. The backstage chaos was even more dramatic. PricewaterhouseCoopers, the accounting firm responsible for Oscar balloting for 83 years, had 2 partners stationed in the wings with identical sets of winner envelopes. One partner, distracted by tweeting a photo of Emma Stone, handed Beatty the wrong envelope. For viewers who had lived through decades of Oscar ceremonies, this was unprecedented. Even the infamous streaker of 1974, more on him later, couldn't compare to the sheer chaos of announcing the wrong Best Picture winner. "In 60 years of watching Oscar ceremonies, I've never seen anything like it," film historian Robert Osborne commented afterward. "It was the biggest live TV disaster in Oscar history, period." The fallout was immediate. PwC issued a profuse apology, the Academy implemented new procedures for envelope handling, and both accountants responsible were banned from future Oscar ceremonies. But the cultural impact was even greater. "Envelope please" would never sound quite the same again. But before the La La Land fiasco would shock the world, another Oscar moment would prove that sometimes the biggest disruptions come from the very stars being celebrated.
Oh, wow! Wow!
2. Will Smith slaps Chris Rock, 2022. The 94th Academy Awards was already running long when Chris Rock took the stage to present Best Documentary Feature. Rock, known for his edgy comedy, made a joke comparing Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head to G.I. Jane. What the comedian apparently didn't know was that Pinkett Smith suffers from alopecia, an autoimmune disorder causing hair loss. What happened next left even Hollywood's oldest living legends gasping. Will Smith, one of Hollywood's most carefully branded, family-friendly stars, walked onto the stage and slapped Rock across the face with an open hand. As he returned to his seat, Smith twice shouted, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth." The uncensored moment aired in many countries, though U.S. broadcasts quickly cut the audio. For viewers raised on the decorum of classic Hollywood, the moment was particularly shocking, as 94-year-old actress Marsha Hunt, who had attended her first Oscars in 1936, reportedly remarked, "In my day, we settled disagreements privately, not with violence on America's most dignified stage." Rock, visibly stunned, maintained enough professionalism to continue with his presentation, remarking, "That was, the greatest night in television history." The audience sat in uncomfortable silence, unsure whether they'd witnessed a scripted bit or genuine assault. The confusion was reminiscent of the 1973 Sachin Littlefeather controversy, which we'll explore soon, where the line between performance and reality similarly blurred. Just minutes later, Smith won Best Actor for King Richard and delivered a tearful speech that obliquely referenced the incident. Richard Williams was a fierce defender of his family, he said, comparing himself to the character he portrayed. The aftermath played out publicly. Smith resigned from the Academy and was banned from attending the Oscars for 10 years. For older Hollywood veterans, the incident represented a shocking departure from the genteel public behavior expected from A-list stars. As legendary director Norman Jewison, age 95 at the time, commented, "In 7 decades in this business, I've seen stars misbehave behind closed doors, but never anything like this in public. It wasn't scripted, and it won't be forgotten." While physical altercations were unheard of at the Oscars until 2022, questioning the legitimacy of winners has a much longer history, as our next infamous moment shows.
Thank you so much. This is such a great honor to receive this.
Third, Marissa Tomei didn't deserve to win Rumor, 1993. When Marissa Tomei won Best Supporting Actress for her comedic role in My Cousin Vinny at the 65th Academy Awards, it was considered an upset victory. The other nominees were respected British and Australian actresses in prestige dramas, Judy Davis, Vanessa Redgrave, Miranda Richardson, and Joan Plowright. Shortly after her win, a pernicious rumor began circulating that presenter Jack Palance had read the wrong name. According to the story, Palance was either drunk, confused, or unable to read the actual winner, so he simply announced the last name on the list. The Hollywood Reporter and Entertainment Weekly both repeated the rumor, giving it credibility. For classic film lovers, this controversy echoed earlier instances when comedy was undervalued compared to drama. As film historian William K. Everson noted, from Marie Dressler to Judy Holliday, comedians have often had their Oscar wins questioned. Tomei faced the same unfair scrutiny. The rumor persisted for years despite being completely false. The Academy's accountants stand at the ready during the ceremony specifically to correct such mistakes immediately, and no correction was made because there was no error. Former Academy Executive Director Bruce Davis later stated emphatically, if such a mistake were made, they would have simply walked on stage and said, "I'm sorry, there's been a mistake." The persistence of this rumor revealed an ugly side of Hollywood snobbery. The idea that a young American actress in a comedy couldn't possibly deserve an Oscar over established British dramatic actresses. Film critic Molly Haskell called it the last acceptable prejudice in Hollywood, the belief that comedy is somehow less worthy than drama. For Tomei, the rumor cast an undeserved shadow over her achievement. She earned it. The press didn't care, said veteran critic Rex Reed, who had initially been skeptical of her win but later championed her talent. They wanted a scandal more than they wanted the truth. The Tomei controversy serves as a reminder that sometimes the biggest Oscar scandals aren't what happens on stage, but how the industry and media react afterward. While questioning winners represents one kind of Oscar embarrassment, our next moment shows that sometimes the presenters themselves create the memorable disasters.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
4. John Travolta butchers Idina Menzel's name, 2014. John Travolta had one job at the 86th Academy Awards: introduce Idina Menzel for her performance of Let It Go from Disney's Frozen. What should have been a straightforward introduction became an instant classic Oscar gaffe when Travolta inexplicably announced, "Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem." For a ceremony known for its careful rehearsals and teleprompters, this mispronunciation was baffling. Menzel, a Broadway veteran and respected vocalist, found her big Oscar moment overshadowed by Travolta's verbal stumble. The internet exploded with memes and name generators offering to Travoltify your name. For Hollywood veterans, The moment recalled classic introduction flubs from Oscar history, like when Hal Roach was cut off during his honorary award presentation in 1992, or when Laurence Olivier forgot to announce the Best Picture nominees in 1982, simply opening the envelope and declaring, "The winner is Gandhi." What made Travolta's error particularly notable was his status as a 40-year Hollywood veteran who should have been comfortable with teleprompter reading. As former Oscar writer Bruce Valanche later explained, the teleprompter clearly said, "Idina Menzel." John either couldn't read it or had a momentary brain freeze. Travolta later explained he had been distracted backstage by meeting Goldie Hawn and was rushed on stage with a phonetic spelling change he wasn't prepared for. The following year, Menzel got her revenge by introducing Travolta as Glom Gazingo when they presented together. Old Hollywood stars knew the importance of proper name pronunciation. As veteran announcer and television personality Dick Cavett noted, "Johnny Carson once told me, the secret to hosting is doing your homework. Know how to pronounce the names." Travolta clearly skipped that lesson. It became known as the name flub heard round the world, a reminder that even in our most polished entertainment ceremonies, human error can create unforgettable moments. While Travolta's mistake was merely embarrassing, our next Oscar moment created genuine controversy and reflected deeper cultural tensions of its era.
Very regretfully, cannot accept this very generous award.
5. Sachin Littlefeather rejects Brando's Oscar, 1973. The 45th Academy Awards in 1973 delivered one of the most politically charged moments in Oscar history when Marlon Brando, who won Best Actor for The Godfather, refused to attend the ceremony. In his place, he sent Sachin Littlefeather, a Native American activist and actress, to decline the award on his behalf. Dressed in traditional Apache attire, Littlefeather approached the podium after presenter Roger Moore announced Brando as the winner. "I'm representing Marlon Brando this evening, and he has asked me to tell you that he very regretfully cannot accept this very generous award," she explained. The reasons for this being the treatment of American Indians today by the film industry and on television and movie reruns, and also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee. The audience reaction was mixed. Some applauded, but many booed. John Wayne, standing backstage, was reportedly so angry he had to be restrained by security guards from rushing on stage to remove Littlefeather. In an era when celebrities rarely used award platforms for political statements, this was unprecedented. For Hollywood's old guard, this represented an unwelcome intrusion of politics into what they considered pure entertainment. As actress Celeste Holm commented afterward, "We came to celebrate films, not to air grievances." But younger stars like Jane Fonda supported Brando's decision, believing Hollywood needed to confront its problematic portrayal of Native Americans. What many don't know is that Littlefeather had prepared a much longer speech, but producers threatened to have her arrested if she spoke for more than 60 seconds. She later reported being blacklisted from Hollywood after her appearance. The incident came during a transitional period in Hollywood history. The old studio system was dead, the counterculture was influencing cinema, and new voices were demanding to be heard. As film historian David Thompson noted, it was a protest the Oscars weren't ready for, but one that signaled how entertainment and activism would increasingly intersect. 50 years later, in 2022, the Academy formally apologized to Littlefeather for her treatment that night, acknowledging that her appearance had been a powerful statement that continues to remind us of the necessity of respect and the importance of human dignity. While political statements can create controversy, sometimes it's purely artistic choices that lead to Oscar disasters, as our next infamous moment demonstrates.
Used to work a lot for Walt Disney, starring in cartoons every night and day.
But she said goodbye to Grumpy and Sleepy, left the dwarves behind, came to town to stay.
6. Rob Lowe's musical Disney Nightmare, 1989. The 61st Academy Awards in 1989 began with what is widely considered the most bizarre and misguided opening number in Oscar history. Producer Alan Carr, known for Grease, conceived an 11-minute musical extravaganza featuring an actress dressed as Snow White interacting with various Hollywood stars, culminating in a duet with actor Rob Lowe. The sequence began with Snow White, actress Eileen Bowman, singing "I Only Have Eyes for You" while wandering through the audience of visibly uncomfortable celebrities. The cringe factor escalated when Rob Lowe joined her on stage for an awkward parody of Proud Mary with lyrics changed to celebrate Hollywood's heyday. For viewers familiar with old Hollywood's polished musical productions, the contrast couldn't have been more stark, as legendary choreographer Hermes Pan, who had worked with Fred Astaire, reportedly commented, "Busby Berkeley would have walked out." The performance was universally panned. Veteran Hollywood figures were especially mortified. 17 celebrities, including Paul Newman, Julie Andrews, and Billy Wilder, signed an open letter calling the show an embarrassment to both the Academy and the entire motion picture industry. Adding legal troubles to the artistic disaster, Disney filed a lawsuit against the Academy for using Snow White without permission. The Academy formally apologized to Disney, effectively admitting the segment had been a terrible mistake. For Rob Lowe, then trying to rebuild his career after a sex tape scandal, the performance was particularly damaging. I remember vividly looking out in the audience and seeing Barry Levinson, who had just directed me in Good Morning Vietnam, literally go like this, Lowe later recalled, slumping in his chair. It was like a death march. Alan Carr never produced another Oscar show, and the Academy quickly returned to more traditional formats. As longtime Academy member and director Norman Jewison said afterward, "It was supposed to be magical. It was mortifying. The Oscars are about honoring excellence, not creating spectacle for its own sake." The Snow White debacle serves as a cautionary tale about the risks of trying to reinvent a traditional format too dramatically, a lesson the Academy would learn repeatedly through the years. Sometimes Oscar disasters happen not during the ceremony itself, but in the technical aspects of the broadcast, as our next embarrassing moment reveals.
In the case of costume, hair, and makeup, this year brought a perfect storm of creativity. It's our pleasure to honor the behind-the-scenes heroics of the people who make it all look easy.
7. Wrong Best Costume Clip Shown, 2014. The 86th Academy Awards in 2014, yes, the same ceremony where John Travolta mangled Idina Menzel's name, contained another significant blunder that particularly disturbed film purists and costume design enthusiasts. During the Best Costume Design category presentation, the wrong film clips played for several nominees. As each nominee was announced, a clip was supposed to showcase that designer's work. Instead, viewers saw a jumbled mess, clips that didn't match the announced films, highlighting the wrong costumes, and in some cases showing completely unrelated scenes. For the nomination of The Grandmaster, a martial arts epic with elaborate period Chinese costumes, viewers instead saw footage from The Great Gatsby. For American Hustle, set in the 1970s, clips from the 19th century 12 Years a Slave appeared. Legendary costume designer Anne Roth, watching from the audience, was reportedly furious. These people dedicate their lives to creating visual worlds through clothing, and the one time they're recognized, the Academy can't even show the right footage, she was overheard saying. The error highlighted a frustrating reality for below-the-line craftspeople. Even when they receive rare recognition, their work is often misunderstood or undervalued. As veteran costume designer Edith Head once remarked years earlier, costume designers create characters, not clothes racks, but Hollywood rarely makes that distinction. What made this error particularly embarrassing was that costume design is a visual art form. Viewers couldn't appreciate the nominations without seeing the actual work. Production designer Patricia von Brandenstein called it a slap in the face to the designers who pour their hearts into creating the visual identity of these films. The Academy never formally acknowledged the error, but insiders reported that a miscommunication between the clip package editors and the telecast directors led to the wrong video being cued. For costume design professionals, it reinforced the perception that their craft wasn't given the same respect as acting or directing categories. As one anonymous costume designer told Variety afterward, they dressed the category in total chaos. While technical errors can be embarrassing, sometimes the most memorable Oscar moments come from unexpected audience participants, as our next legendary incident demonstrates.
Is a very important contributor to world entertainment, and someone, quite likely...
8. Oscar streaker interrupts David Niven, 1974. The 46th Academy Awards in 1974 delivered one of the most unexpected moments in television history when a nude man ran across the stage behind host David Niven. Robert Opel, a photographer and gallery owner, managed to sneak backstage by posing as a journalist. Just as Niven was about to introduce Elizabeth Taylor, Opal dashed behind him, completely naked except for a mustache and flashing a peace sign. The audience gasped, but Niven, embodying the unflappable poise of old Hollywood, barely missed a beat. With impeccable timing and composure, he quipped, "Isn't it fascinating to think that probably the only laugh that man will ever get in his life is by stripping off and showing his shortcomings?" The audience erupted in laughter and applause at Niven's quick wit. For a ceremony that had been remarkably staid and formal through its history, this unexpected nude dash represented a collision between Hollywood propriety and 1970s counterculture rebellion. For older viewers and industry veterans, the moment epitomized changing cultural standards. As former MGM star Esther Williams later commented, "In my day, the wildest thing that happened at the Oscars was someone thanking the wrong spouse. Suddenly there's a naked man on stage." Hollywood was clearly changing. Contrary to some reports that have emerged over the years, the moment was not staged. Oscar producer Jack Haley Jr. was furious about the security breach. However, he later acknowledged that Niven's perfect response had turned a potentially disastrous moment into an iconic one. Opal briefly became a celebrity from the incident, telling reporters afterward, "People shouldn't be ashamed of being nude in public. Besides, it's a hell of a way to launch a career." Tragically, Opal's life was cut short when he was murdered during a robbery in 1979. While shocking at the time, the streaking incident has become one of the most fondly remembered Oscar moments, largely due to Niven's unflappable response. As film historian Leonard Maltin noted, it showed the difference between old and new Hollywood. Opal represented the anything-goes 1970s, while Niven's perfect composure represented the dignity of Hollywood's golden age. The moment lives on in Oscar lore. Quick wit, full moon. While unexpected guests can create memorable Oscar moments, sometimes it's the official hosts themselves who generate the wrong kind of attention, as our next awkward ceremony demonstrates.
Anne, I must say you look so beautiful and so hip.
Oh, thank you, James.
Yeah.
You look very appealing to a younger demographic as well.
Thank you very much.
9. James Franco and Anne Hathaway's awkward hosting, 2011. The 83rd Academy Awards in 2011 attempted to attract younger viewers by pairing James Franco, 32, and Anne Hathaway, 28, the youngest hosting duo in Oscar history. The experiment in youth appeal backfired spectacularly, resulting in what critics almost universally panned as one of the most awkward Oscar broadcasts ever. The problems were evident from the opening monologue, where the hosts displayed an almost complete lack of chemistry. Franco appeared disengaged, barely looking at his co-host and delivering lines with a detached, almost bored affect. Hathaway, seemingly aware things were going poorly, compensated by projecting excessive enthusiasm that came across as desperate and forced. For viewers raised on the smooth professionalism of Bob Hope, Johnny Carson, or Billy Crystal, the contrast was jarring. As 89-year-old actress Betty White commented afterward, "Hosting the Oscars isn't about being young, it's about being entertaining and respectful of the tradition. Those kids forgot they were there to honor films, not themselves." The evening featured numerous bizarre moments. Franco appearing in drag as Marilyn Monroe, an awkward auto-tuned movie song segment, and increasing evidence that Franco was mentally checking out as the broadcast progressed. Reports later emerged that Franco may have been under the influence during the ceremony. Veteran Oscar writer Bruce Vilanch was unusually candid in his assessment. He was not interested in playing the host role. He wanted to be the cool guy who didn't care, which is not what the job calls for. The critical reception was brutal. The Hollywood Reporter called it one of the worst Oscar telecasts in history, while Roger Ebert tweeted, "The worst Oscars I've ever seen." Ratings reflected the quality. Viewership dropped 10% from the previous year, despite the youth-oriented approach. For classic Hollywood fans, the Franco-Hathaway disaster highlighted the importance of hosting experience and reverence for the ceremony itself. As former host Whoopi Goldberg observed, "The Oscars aren't just another gig, they're the history of our industry in living form. You need to respect that." The failure was so complete that the Academy reverted to proven host Billy Crystal the following year. As one Academy member told Vanity Fair, "They had zero chemistry and a million viewers regretting it." Our final Oscar disaster takes us back to the beginning, revealing what happened behind the scenes during the most infamous envelope mix-up in Academy history.
Sorry, no. There's a mistake. There's a mistake. Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture.
Moonlight won. Come on, this is not
not a joke. This is not a joke. I'm afraid they read the wrong thing.
10. The Envelope Gate Panic Backstage, 2017. While we've already covered the onstage chaos of the La La Land/Moonlight Best Picture mistake, what happened backstage during those fateful minutes created its own separate disaster, one that revealed how quickly the seemingly flawless Oscar machine could descend into complete pandemonium. As Jordan Horowitz announced to a shocked worldwide audience that Moonlight was the actual Best Picture winner, absolute chaos erupted behind the scenes. Stage managers with headsets were running in every direction. PricewaterhouseCoopers accountants Martha Ruiz and Brian Cullinan, who had handed over the wrong envelope, stood frozen in horror as Academy officials demanded explanations. Live television cameras caught Oscar producer Michael DeLuca shouting, "What the expletive is happening? Someone get to the accountants." Meanwhile, security was dispatched to retrieve and verify all remaining envelopes to confirm the correct winners had been announced in earlier categories. For the stars backstage, the moment was surreal. As presenter Faye Dunaway retreated from the podium, she reportedly kept repeating, "I read the card that was given to me. I read what was on the card." Warren Beatty, holding both envelopes, was surrounded by producers, demanding to see the evidence of the mistake. The backstage feed, which wasn't part of the main broadcast but was captured for internal use, showed the full extent of the confusion. Jimmy Kimmel could be heard asking, "Is this a joke?" while Academy President Cheryl Boone Isaacs appeared visibly distressed, demanding, "How could this happen?" What made this behind-the-scenes disaster particularly revealing was how it exposed the fragility of the Oscar ceremony's carefully maintained illusion of perfection. As veteran stage manager Gary Natoli later told The Wrap, "In my 30 years of doing live television, I've never seen anything like it. Everyone looks calm on camera, but backstage was complete mayhem." The blame game began immediately. PwC initially took full responsibility, but details soon emerged about Cullinan's backstage tweeting during the critical moments when he should have been focused on envelope distribution. The Academy subsequently implemented new procedures, including a prohibition on electronic devices backstage and the addition of a third accountant specifically tasked with memorizing winners. For Hollywood insiders, the backstage meltdown was perhaps even more shocking than the on-stage confusion. As one anonymous Academy governor told Vanity Fair, "It wasn't just the wrong name. It was a total system failure."